This video will cover the basics of lags and leads in Microsoft Project, which are two popular tools used to model delays within the program. Despite their popularity, it's less known that lags and leads actually add risk to your program by interfering with the critical path. Luckily, however, we can avoid this by using some better alternatives. To keep things quick, the main points of this video are just to establish what lags and leads are for those that don't know, but at the same time also show you how they're commonly used so that you can spot these as areas of risk within a program. This is all because you're actually going to want to avoid using lags and leads as much as you can, or be very careful about when you do. Saying that, because you may know or find situations where lags or leads really are the ideal solution, this is another reason why we think avoiding them altogether is a bad idea. It definitely still pays to know how they work. I've got Project open here with some basic examples to help illustrate what I'm talking about. So to start, we say that lags are positive delays. By positive, I mean that if the delay starts at point A, it counts forwards into the future to a point B, which is where another task will start or end. Scenario 1 here is that you want to pour some concrete, but before you take off the formwork, you want to let the concrete cure for 5 days. You may see this kind of situation modelled as it is here, with a lag and a finish to start relationship between the two tasks. The concrete pour task ends, then we got a 5 elapsed day lag, then the formwork removal begins. So that's lags, which are positive delays. Leads, on the other hand, are negative delays. So by negative, I mean that if the delay starts at a point A, it will instead count backwards into the past to another point B to start or end another task. Scenario 2 here is that you've got 3 bays of foundations and blockwork that need to be installed. We want the blockwork to start 5 days after the foundations start to allow the first bay foundations to be completed. Again, you may see this or a similar situation modelled as it is here using a lead and a finish to start relationship. The lead tells the blockwork task to start by counting back 10 days from the end of the full 15-day foundation task to get to the place that we want. Okay, so if we do want to apply a lag or lead, most often we do it as part of a task relationship, and these are most commonly assigned through the predecessor column. Doing this for scenario 1, we click on the predecessor cell of the formwork removal task and start by entering the ID for the concrete pour task, which is 3. We follow this with FS for the finish to start task relationship. Then to represent the lag, we use a plus sign. Finally, to specify the duration, we put in 5ED, which represents the 5 elapsed day delay that we want to model. By elapsed days, I mean 5 calendar days. Elapsed time includes non-working time, such as weekends and any holidays. Working time, on the other hand, is only that defined by your working calendar, which by default runs Monday to Friday from 8 AM to 5 PM with an hour break at midday. Okay, so with the 5 ED duration in for the lag, press enter and there you go. You can see the program now waits 5 elapsed calendar days after the concrete pour finishes before starting the formwork removal task. Right now it actually takes 6 days for the formwork removal to start. This is because the formwork removal is carried out during working time. Counting only 5 elapsed days after the concrete pour would leave you on a Sunday, which is non-working time, so the program has jumped to the next available working day after this, Monday, to start the formwork removal. Okay, so to input scenario 2, you'd click the predecessor cell for the blockwork task and start with the ID for the foundation installation task, which is 10. We follow this again with FS for the finish to start task relationship. Remember, we're using a lead to count backwards to a point in time, so instead of a plus for a lag, we add a minus sign for the lead. Finally, you need the duration that will let the lead count back to a point 5 days after the foundation install starts. The full task is 15 days, so we can put in 10D. Hit enter and it's done. A couple of other points about lags and leads for those that don't know. Project uses working days as the default unit for task durations, lags and leads. So writing just plus or minus 5 as the delay length means that project will take it as plus or minus 5 working days. In construction, it is best to keep your delays in days. However, project does let you use some other measures of time. Instead of putting D after the number, you can use M for minutes, H for hours, W for weeks, and MO for months. You can also use a percentage in a lag or lead. When you do this, project will count either backwards or forwards for a percentage of the trigger task duration. So say you've got two tasks A and B in a finish to start task relationship, and the finish of task A is the trigger for the start of task B. Task A is the trigger task. Project would count forwards or backwards a percentage of whatever the duration of task A is. So say task A is 10 days long and you want to count forward 4 days. You can achieve this with a plus 40% lag. If you add in the successor column like so, you can see from both of these examples how the logic plays out. If you wanted to use the successor column to enter all of this, all you do is select the successor cell for the other task and switch the ID that we enter to the other task in the relationship. So for the lag example, we use 3 in the predecessor column. In the successor, it will be 4. In the lead, we use 10 in the predecessor column, so in the successor, it will be 11. Everything else, like the plus or minus sign and the duration, stay identical. Okay, so to summarise, lags and leads are both popularly used to model delays in the program, and they've got a few options. However, compared to some better alternatives, using lags and leads as we have in these two scenarios would actually put more risk into your program by interfering with the critical path. Because the alternatives don't do this, and we can actually quite easily avoid the risk that lags and leads bring, we promote keeping lags and leads to a minimum as an example of good practice that will save you in the long term. Starting with lags and then moving on to leads, the follow-on videos to this one demystify why it's good practice to avoid lags and leads by explaining exactly how they needlessly confuse the critical path and cause risk. It also covers what those better alternatives I've talked about actually are, and why they're better and how they avoid the risk. These will take you from just identifying the risk to the quick steps you can take to actually eliminate it, so be sure to check these videos out as well. Please be sure to contact us via JustAsk@menlo-academy.com with any queries, and we'll see what we can do to help you out. Okay, that's it for this one. Hope it helped, and see you in the next one.